I warmly welcome Ms. Sherry Rahman, Chair of the Senate Standing Committee on Climate Change. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today to celebrate the awardees and participants. I also wanted to acknowledge our esteemed jury members who made it through the rigorous process of evaluation and showed their presence today. And I acknowledge the presence of our participants who have submitted their case studies for the awards of 2024 sustainability. Dear colleagues and friends, today is a special moment. We are gathered here to celebrate the 2024 Sustainability Awards, a milestone that marks an inspiring journey of innovation, resilience, and dedication. The journey has nothing short of fascinating, a learning experience that has brought us together to witness and honor impactful contributions to sustainability. When COP is about to begin, such initiatives, such startups, such projects submitted by our participants showed a commitment to resilience and climate action. Before going for the further proceeding and announcing the awards, I wanted to have a quick picture of how we at STPI worked throughout the periods of 2 months for the strategic approach we achieved and for the distinguished of awardees. May I request MI's team to please present? Yeah, so we announced this initiative in 2023 with the aim to acknowledge the efforts of climate action and resilience of corporate sector, civil society organizations, academia, startups, as SMEs. For this year, 2024, we announced the following categories: agri-tech and food security, water conservation, renewable energy, circular economy, gender equality, social impact and community engagement, production innovation and decarbonization, and finally, sustainability education innovator. So for this purpose, we chose and requested the following external jury members: Ms. Aisha Khan, CEO of CSCCC, Dr. Neelam Nigar, Mr. Haris Khalid, Dr. Anil Salman, Mr. Ahmed Kader, Professor Dr. Ikrar Ahmed Khan, Mr. Badr Alam, Dr. Kulsum, and Mr. Bilal Anwar. So these are some glimpses of our internal jury members, which we have selected at STPI. Dr. Shafkat, Dr. Khalid Munir, Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Ahad Nazir, and Ms. Khansa. And these internal and external jury members have expertise in social, economy, and environmental challenges that the climate has taken for the process of climate action. So for this awards, we received 100 plus nominations, case studies, and the breakdown of the case studies from different sectors are: we received 12% from CSOs, 48% from corporates, and from academia, we received 37%. So the process of evaluation, we started 2 months ago, that we initially announced the banner. We announced the criteria that we need 1,500 to 200 words of case study, in which they have to show the social impact, the economic impact, and the environmental impact. And also they have to show the relevance with the SDGs, that which SDG is aligned with the work they are doing. And finally, we made it through the social media. We disseminate the work, we disseminate the banners on the LinkedIn, SDTV, or X. So we finally got the evaluation, and we used the triple bottom line theory for this evaluation. And also we selected the jury members on basis of this theory. So for this purpose, at STPI, we got the expertise of Sir Ahad Nazir for making the sustainability rubrics, in which we measure the inclusivity of the project, the relevance with the SDG, how scalable the project is, how economically impacted this project is, how environmentally and socially and inclusivity on the basis of gender this project would be. So how it can be scalable
in the broader lens for the community, or how it can be addresses the marginalized community for this specific case study. So we use the evaluation methodology for this process. Firstly, to make the transparency and to make the process more relevant and accurate, we blind the case studies. We don't use the name of the organization by sending to the jury members. We make them blind by ABC and XYZ. And then we make the rubrics, and every rubric point has different weightage marking. And our jury members made it through 1 to the lowest, 2 the medium, and 3 the highest. And each case study was reviewed through 3 blind review process, and from social, economic, and environmental impact. And finally, we did the accumulate the results, and through standard deviation, the following I'll be announcing soon, the awardees were selected. So the first one who didn't meet the criteria initially, they taken the status of rapporteurs, and the ones who have the percentile like lower than the awardees winner, they were in the top 15, then top 10, and top 5, and finally we got the highest marking of winners, which I'll be announcing soon. Thank you so much. Now, because you knew the process and you knew what the process we adopted and how we actually achieve it, I know it's time taking, and you are ready and you're waiting to announce I would announce the results. But before that, I would request our executive director, Dr. Abid Qayyum Suleri, for his welcoming remarks. Yes, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Saleha. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Excellency Senator Shari Rahman Sahiba, Chairperson and Convener of Senate Standing Committee on Climate Change and Environmental Coordination. But more than this, a true environmentalist by heart. And that is precisely the reason we had requested you to grace this occasion and encourage the private sector, the youngsters from academia and civil society for the efforts that they have put in. I will be brief. This is our 4 days Sustainable Development Conference and second edition of our Sustainability Investment Expo. The Expo as well as the conference would take place over next 4 days. And the theme that we have chosen this year is From Fragility to Resilience, Enhancing Sustainable Development. And I'm of the firm believer that despite all doom and gloom scenario, despite everything that could go wrong, went wrong during last couple of years, one can see this resolve and resilience in humanity at macro level, international level, as well as in Pakistan. And this is the case of resilience that we want to focus upon, because the challenge, the problems, they actually tone us up to be more resilient, and they prepare us for more face and brave the adverse situations. Saleh has already explained the process of selection of case studies. I'm thankful to all the participants who took part in this expo. I'm thankful to all the jury members who took time from their busy schedule, and they actually helped us make this process transparent. And I'm thankful to all of you who are here to observe the demonstration of sustainability. And I hope that it is through our indigenous resources that we can utilize, and we can actually not only resolve to be a resilient nation, we can demonstrate that we are a resilient nation. And using our indigenous resources, we can try to achieve the goals of sustainability. Thank you very much, ma'am, once again for joining us and gracing the occasion.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abid, for your welcoming remarks for the awardees and winner. So as the time ticked down, I can feel the heartbeat of anticipation filled with hopes while waiting for the 2024 Sustainability Awards. Now, I would request Dr. Abid Qayyum Suleri and Ms. Sherry Rahman to please come forward so we can
Officially announce the awards.
May I also request Shafkat Kaka Khil Sahab, please join us on the stage. So time is here. Your efforts are now ripening. So our first category, social impact and community engagement. Our award 2024 Sustainability Award goes to HBL. May I request Mr. Abid Rafiq Ghazi, CEO HBL, to receive the award. Sir, please join us on the stage. Their efforts in uplifting communities through social, financial inclusion, healthcare, education, and environmental initiatives. In 2023, HBL Foundation dispersed over 393.59 million to healthcare, 100 million to education, and 204 million to flood rehabilitation, building 100 prefabricated homes for flood-affected communities. The foundation also supported initiatives like vocational training, youth, and scholarship for the low-income families. Thank you, sir. Our next category, Water Conservation Champions. And the awards 2024 Sustainability Award goes to NED University of Engineering and Technology. May I request Dr. Muhammad Tufail, Pro Vice Chancellor of NED Universities, to please join us on the stage and receive his award. Their initiative aims to implement a constructed
Wetland system to the treat textile wastewater generated by local industries in Karachi. Textile manufacturing is a significant source of the pollution, so their project seeks to address the challenges of
harnessing the natural filtration process, constructed wetlands, which use vegetation, soil, and microbial activity to effectively remove contaminants from wastewater. They constructed wetlands that will treat approximately 30,000 cubic meters of textile water. Thank you, sir. Our next category, renewable energy. And the award 2024 Sustainability Award goes to Fuji Cement Company Limited. Their case study title was Pioneer in Captive Renewable Energy Generation. Transition towards renewable energy projects is a specific significant impact of Fuji Cement Company Limited 2019, and they enhanced the capacity time to time. In 2022, they enhanced the clean energy capacity approximately 40 megawatt and has further enhanced its solar plant capacity to 47 megawatt. Thank you, sir. Now our next award, Circular Economy. And 2024 Sustainability Awards goes to Concept Loop for the case study, Reimagining Plastic Waste. Their initiative to make low-value plastic circular addresses a significant environmental issue by preventing plastic waste from contaminated ecosystem. This solution is particularly relevant to the industries that generate high volume of plastic waste, such as packaging, manufacturing, and retail stores. By converting this waste into resource, the process not only mitigate, but also promotes circular economy. Thank you. Our next award for the gender equality. The award goes to Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund. And I would request Mr. Nadir Gulbariz, Chief Operating Officer, to please receive the award. Their case study title was From Adversity to Empowerment, a Woman's Journey to Financial Independence and Community Leadership. Their initiative has taken 24 partner organizations, and they started sustainability initiative to alleviate poverty, promoting economic empowerment, and underscore the underdeserved communities. This program provides interest-free loans to marginalized individuals, particularly women, enabling them to start or expand small businesses, improve their livelihoods. Thank you, sir. Our next award, Social Impact and Community Engagement, and the award goes to MG Apparel. I would request Ms. Kehkeshan Osman to please join us on the stage to receive the award. So MG Apparel case study title was, I would request a representation from STBI to please receive the award on their behalf. MG Apparel responsibility that diverse community initiatives. The NISA program runs throughout the year, impacting 145 women and culminating in graduating every 6 months. Thank you. Our next category, Production, Innovation, and Decarbonization. And the award goes 2024 Sustainability Awards, Artistic Millionaires. Please join us on the stage, Ms. Anam Zahid, Manager responsible from Artistic Millionaires. Textile industry significantly contributes to global warming. Sustainable cotton cultivation is crucial for mitigating environment impact and meeting market demands. Our next award, Agri-Tech and Food Security, goes to Poji Fertilizer Company Limited. And the award will be received by Colonel Salar Malik. Their case study title was Jio Kashtkar. Thank you, sir. Now I would request our esteemed jury members who have taken the process of evaluation, please join us on the stage for the group photo. Okay. Dr. Anil Salman. Saisha Khan, Dr. Neelam Nigar, Mr. Haris Khalik, Dr. Anil Salman, Mr. Ahmed Qadir, Professor Dr. Ikrar Ahmed Khan, Mr. Badar Alam, Dr. Kulsoom Sumra, and Mr. Bilal Anwar. Also, I would request internal jury members, please join us on the stage. Dr. Shafqat Munir, Dr. Kashif Salik, Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Ahad Nazir, Ms. Khansa, Mr. Asif Javed, Mr. Umair Umar, Mr. Sayyid Wasif Naqvi, Irfan Chattha, Mr. Ubaidur Rahman, Ms. Sadia Sati and Aruj Waheed. Thank you so much. Now I would request Dr. Abid to please present the Shield of Appreciation to Ms. Sherry Rahman. Thank you, ma'am. And now I would request, because this is the inaugural of the expo. So I would request Ms. Shahri Rahman to please have a keynote address. And after that, I would request Ms. Zainab to proceed with the proceeding of Sustainability Investment Expo. Yes, ma'am, please join us on the podium.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Janab Abid Suleri Sahab, SDPI's moving spirit, and Ambassador Shafkat Kaka Khel, who is the leader of the board or the chairman of the board. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, diplomats, members of the media, students, I hope students are here, and climate champions and innovators. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, I think. We're into afternoon already. And of course, the judges. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity and inviting me here to talk about fragility, resilience, and actually real sustainable development. First of all, I want to congratulate from the bottom of my heart, SDPI and all your partners in bringing together this expo. Is it a second time we're doing this, Mr. Suleri? I remember inaugurating last year's and I was very inspired by the kind of innovations and support this enabled for building sustainability beyond a cliche, taking it beyond a buzzword, making it applicable and understandable and realizable in real life outcomes to people. So thank you for doing this. And I can see that like climate ambition, which we will see growing at COP29, your whole venue, your entire enterprise, your initiative has expanded in a very important and welcome way forward, because I see that it involves and engages more people. I would, however, request all organizers of such important public gatherings and convenings to turn down the air conditioning. We may be working hard towards renewable energy, but I don't think we are entirely renewable yet. And it is November in Islamabad. So it's entirely unnecessary Park China Center to sustain this temperature and really move towards conservation. I'm sorry, I always start with a cautionary tale, but I feel that whatever we address must apply to our lives in the here and the now. What is exciting and encouraging is there are no plastic bottles, but which are of course not recyclable, whatever anybody tells you. So we will go into that in a minute. I don't want to keep you here very long. Abid Suleri is an old friend and partner in many climate crimes, and he insists that the floor is mine. He doesn't know how dangerous that is. You know, for a politician, which is my other day job, This is a very dangerous thing, so I will restrain myself somewhat and try to address what this creative and open summit is trying to address. Why I call it creative is because it's drawing in people, it's giving support, it is encouraging both big companies and small, although I would really like to see a chain, probably another category of young tech innovators, climate tech, agri-tech, water tech. There are so many, and I'm sure you have them out there. So for the award recipients, I know the big companies scale up their outputs, and their numbers obviously enable them when they become sustainable to get these awards. If you're a big company and you're able to, say, go to 14 megawatts, which one of the companies did of their own power, then surely you are entitled to an award. But I think let's make Abid and Mr. Kakakhel a category for encouraging young innovators in the climate space as well. You have been very careful about gender. I appreciate that, because inclusion is the path to sustainability, particularly 51%. But I just want to address some of your concerns and categories in a way that will take us beyond, as you say, the doom and gloom story, because that has been our journey, especially from 2022, when we encountered the great flood of the century and then lived to tell the tale. Those of us here, all of us, please understand that we're all survivors of a great flood that didn't come into our lives, but it came into 1/3 of the country. And those are the real people on the ground that are rebuilding their lives with some homegrown resilience, with civil society's assistance, with international assistance, and their provincial and federal governments coming in to give them a helping hand. But really, we have to ask ourselves, how much more can we do in terms of building their resilience? And I say this because I will never forget that 2022 flood, not because I was climate minister. I think many of us who saw it at some depth will never forget it, because it was a transformational moment for both the country and for all ourselves. And I think since then, after picking up the pieces, which we are still carrying on in parts of Sindh by building resilience housing, and you must understand, millions of people were displaced. So it takes years and years to give people their lives back, their homes back, and their livelihoods, which enables them to be hopeful about a future and to imagine a tomorrow where they are not living on subsistence or in tents donated by a helpful NGO or a Samaritan from the international civil society. So I think we have re-understood resilience in ways that we did not before. So from this challenge and disaster, we took the opportunity. And I think today, when we come together, that is part of the challenge and convening that we are doing. Just the fact that we're discussing it is telling us that Pakistan wants to go beyond business as usual, because everything can't be done by governments. This is a non-government space. It is reaching out to industry. It is seeking young and old. It is seeking to include women. It is seeking to include all those businesses and corporations that are seeking to redefine ESG, as well as all kinds of connections to social responsibility. Here we are making those connections. I think what conferences do is they actually remind us what we are doing, what we can do, and how we can make the connections that will enable real sustainable development. Now, I'm not going into how exposed Pakistan is to climate fragility. We all know it is the 5th most vulnerable country in the world. I believe it is a lot more vulnerable than the 5th most, but data and indicators do change. What I do know is that we have a huge population, which is one of the largest, fifth or sixth largest populations in the world, that is enabling, that is exposed yet not enabled to fight the new millennium. The new millennium is here already. Science tells us things, new things every day. But what comes into our homes is never captured by even local media and international, let alone international media. They focus on a disaster. And I want to speak to one thing today. I think since we're in the business of awards, I would like very much for a media company or journalist to be included in the award category. Let's work on this together, because I noticed today that we have a very debilitating, crippling smog situation in Lahore, for instance. I know it's not on the agenda, but I think you are discussing pollution, and we are discussing circularity and how our ecosystems must survive, including businesses and urban centers. We are we are more urban than urbanizing at a faster rate than any other country in South Asia. But what are we doing about the pollution, the local pollution that this creates, different from international emissions? There was a national clean air policy introduced 2 years ago. It suggested hardcore scientific community and government and EPA interventions specifically for Lahore and cities like Lahore, even Karachi, that are exposed to high intensity pollutions, especially in the winter when the particulate matter rises up into the atmosphere. And it made page 9 of the newspapers, page 9, except one newspaper. And today you see page 1, the shock, the horror. So media is treating climate as a disaster tool. It only focuses when the disaster strikes, and then there's a lot of hand wringing. Oh, it's crop burning. Of course, it's crop burning from India as well, but it is a lot more than that. And what can you do? You can't build a wall on the border. You have to take the steps to protect yourselves. As always, like climate change, the impacts know no borders. And so when a house is on fire, another house can be set on fire, which means that other house must build its own fences. Now, when I say fences, I mean metaphorical fences to save their lives. And when we suggested things like, well, obviously Punjab has a lot of brick kilns. They can be documented, they can be given the zigzag technology that allows them to function and keep their livelihoods while reducing the pollution. That needs a little bit of funding, it needs enabling, and it needs regulation. Vehicles, which are the largest instrument of pollution in our cities, particularly Punjab, can simply be brought down, their pollution can be brought down, their emissions can be brought down by tuning regulations, tuning engines. How boring is that? It's not glamorous. It's not a war with India, but it can bring down, as well as a reduction in sulfur in your petrol, 40–50% of your pollution. The crop burning, of course, is still going on, but you can't just wait for the rain to damp it down. Children are not going to school in the Punjab. People are breaking out in rashes, and I call pollution in Pakistan the real serial killer, because its deaths, its mortalities and morbidity goes undocumented. So why do we only look at it when it has hit our lives? And when we feel the itching in the eyes and, our planes can't take off, our motorway becomes smog, then everybody wakes up and the page 9 story is suddenly a page 1 story. From page 9, so when the solutions are being offered, when the people are doing the work, no one is interested. And I do hold the media, especially the print media, responsible for that, because they know better. If I give a statement that has literally the life cycle of 20 hours, not even 24 hours, about my opposition. It will run all day long. It will be front page in all the newspapers, and it is entirely dispensable to our lives. So this is what is happening to climate change. I'm sure that today's conference will get the recognition but more than that, the constructive reporting that it deserves. Why? Because it will encourage more climate actors to come into the public space. It will encourage more innovators, and it will draw companies and consumers both into a space where they will start complying with standards that we talk about. Standards cannot be abstract. They have to be real, meaning your air conditioning has to go down if you are talking about circularity and conservation and less consumption. Your waste conversation actually has to mean something if there are plastic bottles that are not reusable on your tables. And so this kind of reality check will only be meaningful. We can keep on doing this, and we will keep on doing this. But until the media wakes up to it with centrality and purpose, which it has in many countries, particularly the UK, you will see that we have a filter in front of climate news and therefore climate action that is necessary, which is what this conference is about. If that filter exists, that this problem can be deferred, the difficult choice that we make can be put off to another day, then that filter will allow it. And that is what is wrong here. Those filters have to come off because the gloves have come off from a nature and a cycle of weather that is no longer in its normal circularity. The Earth's rhythms are disturbed totally by all of us, but of course the wealthier countries. But I'm not here to do that today. That will be at another forum. What I do want to quickly talk about are three, four things. One is, of course, that this conference is also talking about a great priority, agri-tech and food security. For Pakistan, this is critical business. When we buy our food from supermarkets and at best organic grocery outlets, if we are lucky enough to afford it in Islamabad and elsewhere, the real reality on the ground is that agri-tech, all of agriculture, is substantially impacted in Pakistan by the overheating of the summers. Summers are now at extreme temperatures in especially our wheat belt and rice belt. And we've been extraordinarily lucky that our soil has bounced back. But many, I don't have the exact number right now, but there is a number in millions of acres that have gone to salinity, which arises when water logs the soil. Most of Sindh's coastal areas, which were verdant and fertile at one point, have gone to that. And that has happened in Balochistan. Balochistan, which when I was a child, especially Quetta, was full of, green orchards, apple orchards particularly, and many beautiful natural assets. Today, you drive through Quetta, you will see only brown. Quetta is brown. It used to be green when I was a little girl, but that's 40 years ago. And now, you need to ask yourself, who's done this? It's not just nature. So why is it fragile and how will we take it to resilience? All these actions today will take little step by step our people, our provinces, our state to resilient livelihoods. But it will be a different state of living than yesterday. So why does agri-tech and food security matter? It is one of the categories here that are being embraced and encouraged. And it will need a climate resilient future. So there are many programs like the FAO's Rice Resilience Program. Then there's one running in Sindh called GRASP. Then there's a Hari card being run in Sindh, which gives farmers hit by distressed some financial intervention now to reinvent their lives, to give them access to seed and inputs and machinery and solarized energy. All that is happening in bits and pieces everywhere. And particularly Pakistan, Mr. Suleri, I would like your attention. You have high expertise in food security. Pakistan needs attention on its thirsty crop regions, wheat, rice, sugarcane. They take up more water than you can imagine. And the FAO project that I just mentioned is something that can be looked at. It is allowing a paddy field, a rice field, to actually use less water. So I think we need to look at these solutions, popularize them, and then see that they are scaled up. Little projects are little projects. They don't solve a high population densities food problem and also the water problem, which brings me to the next category of my passions, which is, and which you are also addressing SDPI today, is water scarcity. It is a very serious problem, but we have not come to terms with it, especially in our urban centers. We still go into the car wash like we are not a big per capita user. Pakistan uses water, I think our per capita uses is the 4th highest in the world. What does that mean? It means we're wasting water. And that it is not a finite source. It will run out. South Africa's cities ran out of water. They had to ration their showers. They had to ration the amount of time they used the flush in the toilet. They had to ration what they could drink. Do you want to go there? No. So I think that is something we need to address. And that is what the water scarcity and water champions, I think, innovations that you are doing will look at. The more young people become involved in championing water conservation, the faster we are on the journey to understanding and saving our water as a finite, precious resource. One day without water is hard to sustain. So please don't throw it away. If you see it raging in the Indus in the north, at Gilgit, where the water towers come down, where the glaciers are melting very fast, don't imagine that that is what the state of the Indus is in Sindh when it reaches the delta. It does not reach the sea anymore, which means for all our friends in the north, it means that water, a river must run all the way to the sea. If it does not, the sea comes inside. Once the sea comes inside, you have salinity. You have 2 provinces of Pakistan that were once green going brown. So be careful when you advocate for big, big dams. That is no longer the future anywhere in the world. So smaller conservations, which is what we can look at. And then thirdly, we have a circular economy and rethinking waste, reclaiming resources segment here, which SDPI is addressing. I think it's very important because Pakistan is generating 30 million tons of solid waste annually. I think this number is also underrated. It probably is generating more, and we are recycling only 1% of it. 1%. Now, don't feel bad. The world is recycling much more, but it is only recycling 9% of its plastic. 9% only, the entire world. The secret is very much out. This was a protected data source. It no longer is. And I used to challenge it. I said, I don't believe that all of you are recycling your plastic because most of it is just single use. And this forever chemical is one of our biggest toxins and threats to our health, to our future, to our now. We are now ingesting microplastics every day, which is why you see diseases and you see resistance to infection and many things happening because your food also has microplastics in it. It has chemicals. And so does the fish you're eating, freshwater or seawater fish. It is now coming back on your plate. Plastic is coming back on your plate as food because the fish have ingested it, because you've thrown so much into this ocean and dumped so much into the waterways, fish are ingesting it, which brings me to how we treat waste and how we see it as a problem. It's seen as a metropolitan issue. Well, yes, of course it is at one level, but we need to, as a nation, rethink our relationship with waste. We need to see it as a resource, which is you can recycle waste to energy. I know everybody knows that, but for us, it is an opportunity of worth billions, because we do generate a lot of waste, and many of our cities actually to this day in the 21st century don't have waste collecting systems that actually capture the entire population. Even elite neighborhoods are often taking care of their own trash if they're so bothered as a community. But so waste is Pakistan's principal circularity problem. There is no question of circularity if we are not addressing it, which includes, of course, plastic, single-use plastics, and how our addiction globally, the world is addicted to single-use plastic. I make sure there are glass bottles all over Parliament. You come back, comes back the plastic bottle. Why, bhai? Why is it back? Why is this killer bottle back? It's back because it's easier, it's cheaper. Who cares? Whatever. Now, that attitude is the problem. And now wherever I go, they're like, oh, Shari aa rahi hai, plastic ki bottle hata dein. So I hope all of you can become that kind of, scaremonger. It will help. Every bit helps. So the power of the increment is what we are looking at. And I think that Islamabad's initiatives also matter, but just for your own information, you all live in Islamabad. Rawal Dam itself is getting 9 million gallons of sewage, unfiltered, untreated, dumped in it every day. And it is one of the 3 sources of Islamabad's water. Since I don't talk in abstractions, I'm telling you what circularity means in your life. And that's what it means in your life. Go to Rawal Dam. I've made a committee that is going to go in this parliament, but citizens actually are the most powerful actors, in my view, as consumers, as agents of change, as those that compel their governments to act. So I'm with you on that. You see the marine life, but look at what you're drinking. I want to tell both my friends at SDPI that 26 years ago, when I was a journalist, when I was editing the Herald, one fine day, I picked up a bottle of water and I said, let's get all the brands and test them. All of them were tested, the water inside them. Most were not fit for human consumption. You will find that even now. So the water in your taps, figure this out, it is a crisis of circularity. You need to interrupt that crisis. And what we're doing today is, I think, building a slow consensus. I say slow because all consensus are slow in my view, is a consensus to interrupt the waste crisis. This is what matters. You need to challenge climate disruption with disruption. Be the disruptor. This convening, this conference is a disruptor. See it as that. And of course, then I don't want to go into gender inclusion and all, but honestly, there is some real good news about gender inclusion. It has to become more than words. And Benazir Income Support Program is a global standard now in building resilience while giving autonomy to household actors in the shape of women. So that dispensed over, I think, $70 billion in the last flood. And all our international donors were like, thank God you have this instrument, and we would recommend it to other countries. So be happy for what we do have, actually. And let's work towards how we can move to the renewable energy and powering sustainability sector. There's been talk here about, total energy mix, etc. We all know our power sectors and breakdown. I'm not going to go into that. We all know about it. What I'm going to tell you is what is going on in what I call a rooftop revolution in renewables in Pakistan because of a good enabling policy, which I think we just stopped from changing a few months ago on net metering. Pakistan, and of course, the price of solar panels going down has created a mini rooftop revolution. Pakistanis are importing literally 15 gigawatts this year of these solar panels. That's like almost 1/3 of your installed capacity. So that's what's going on. Our grid is aging and Pakistan is moving away both at the federal and national levels, at provincial levels, with enabling policies to renewable energy. We are a high sunlight density country. People are finding their own solutions. To me, that's good news. It may represent a problem for billing for the power ministry. It's got more power capacity than it's billing for. But it is a trend that we all need to note. And lastly, I want to point towards one other saving that we are making. It is called decarbonization and using our carbon sinks through
Carbon credits, which is happening. 350,000 hectares of mangrove are being renewed and also selling carbon credits at the same time. I do want to take credit for that. It's called the Delta Blue Project, and we forced a carbon framework through for that time and allowed it to go through. So it's become one of the largest mangrove reclamation projects in the world. People don't know about it here. And it is also earning millions of dollars in carbon credit for the Sindh government, which is going towards employing women in the sustainability and renewable sector, meaning they are being employed also in the forestry and the regrowth of mangroves and the rewilding of that whole coastline, which is very eroded now. So I can go on about many things. I just want to close here now by saying that we really need to lead with such innovations as the ones we see today, and the commitment and the unity that it requires. And also remember that sustainability is a goal and it is a way of life. It can't remain an elusive goal.
You can change your way of life today. And one of the things you can do is consume less. We can think about that. Consumption of everything has to go down because it means reuse, recycle, and, well, reuse, use less. So that is a path to the future. All of the paths to the future lead to what our grandmothers used to tell us. I mean, my grandmother, certainly not your grandmother. It's another generation entirely. But those wisdoms are all that we are spending global money to come back to. Now, of course, they need technology because we have denuded all those resources, and the water we drank from bottles and put them in the fridge. We have to go back to that, people. It may be a little tedious and it may be a little difficult, but do encourage tech innovators to find an alternative to plastic. I believe there are 4 children in Chari University, not university, in Chari and different parts of Balochistan who have created such a fiber that is composite, yet it holds like with the density of plastic and is entirely biodegradable, which all of our material is not. So let's find those kids and let's see if we can scale up their innovation or put them through to an R&D facility where they're allowed to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for highlighting the critical sectors of the economy and their role in the climate action. Before going to the official proceeding of Sustainability Investment Expo, may I announce some announcement for the winners of the Sustainability Awards. They can record their video with their STTV. Our team will escort you there. And also for the participants, the rest of the participants who taken part in their case studies and awards, they can take their certificates outside the auditorium and take photo over there. And now I would request Ms. Zainab Naheem for officially announce the Expo inaugural. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Salia. And I will not be taking much time, but just to brief you all about Sustainability Investment Expo and why this initiative was taken. So we are at a pivotal moment in our fight against climate change, as highlighted by Madam Senator as well and other speakers, a crisis that no sector, no group can fight alone. For too long, the private sector was often viewed as separate from the solution or even at odds with climate action. But of course, now as we face the undeniable climate emergency, it has become abundantly clear that real progress requires all hands on deck. Without engaging the private sector, academia, and all the stakeholders, our efforts to combat climate change will remain incomplete. Keeping this in view, last year, STPI initiated the Sustainability Investment Expo with a purpose to bring on all private sector companies, organizations, whether local, multinational corporations, to make them part of the solution. There are so many initiatives that the sector is taking, academia is taking, that we are not aware of, and that is actually contributing towards climate action. And to strengthen and to encourage them, we took this initiative, and this year it's a mega expo that we are doing. And those case studies, madam, we are highlighting, which are actually creating community impact. So I'm really happy to be part of an organization where youngsters and especially women are encouraged to lead such initiatives. I remember floating this idea during one of our meetings, and I said that why not we go for expo, and Dr. Suleri and the management said, okay, karo. Go ahead. I've never led any expo before, so I think this is something that's very encouraging, and now this is becoming a part of SDPI's flagship event, complementing Sustainable Development Conference. So thank you for the management. We are also promoting local food stalls. You can please visit the food court, and we are promoting local food brands because it's part of the sustainability agenda. Also, I'm now going to invite Madam Senator to the ribbon cutting ceremony and formally inaugurate the stalls. And the next session that we'll be hosting in the same hall is going to be at 3 p.m. It's on climate finance legal framework. I look forward to seeing you all there because a lot of good recommendations will be coming up, especially when COP29 is around the corner. Thank you so much. Madam, please, if you can accompany us for the ribbon cutting ceremony. Thank you.